My whole life I've been told I was too much, too loud, too ambitious, too honest. I guess some guys are just intimidated by a woman who knows what she wants. That's me, Olivia. I'm 31. I've been married to Daniel for 5 years. We met in college. He was sweet, a little quiet, and he loved that I was a force of nature. At least, that's what he used to say. Our early years were all big gestures and whispered plans for the future. He'd leave me notes in my lunch, and we had this silly thing where we'd sing the wrong lyrics to a song on purpose just to see who could keep a straight face. He's an engineer, one of those guys who thinks in straight lines and clean solutions. I thought it was grounding. Now I just think he's boring. Lately, he's just there. He's like a piece of the furniture, part of the background noise. He spends all his time with his coding and his stupid little projects in the garage. His hair is getting a little thin on top, and he stopped wearing the button-down shirts I used to love on him. He just wears the same gray hoodie every day. He doesn't even notice when I come home from work. He just grunts from the couch, glued to some documentary about bridges. Our marriage has become a list of chores and an unspoken agreement to avoid any real conversation. We're roommates with a shared bank account. I was working late, a huge project for my company, and I texted him to let him know I'd be home around 8. No response. That's typical. I got home, and he was still on the couch. Hoodie on, eyes on the TV. The only thing different was the smell of something cooking. He had ordered Thai food again. "Hey," I said, dropping my bag by the door. "Hey," he said, not even looking at me. "Food's here." I went to the kitchen and saw 2 containers of pad thai on the counter. He didn't ask about my day. He didn't ask if I was hungry. Just the food. I sighed, took my plate, and sat down on the other side of the living room. We ate in silence. The only sound was the TV and the clinking of forks. Later, as I was getting ready for bed, I saw his phone on the nightstand. It was open to a text message from his coworker. The name was Chloe. The message read, "Can't wait for Friday night. Your place. Right. Don't forget the wine." My stomach clenched. Chloe. I had met her once at a company party. She was one of those cool girl types with a nose ring and short hair. I hated her immediately. I didn't know what to think, but a knot of unease formed in my chest. Daniel and I used to have a Friday night routine. We'd order pizza and watch a movie. Now he was making plans with Chloe. And at his place, I felt a surge of anger and something else fear. Fear that my comfortable, albeit boring, life was about to be upended. I didn't want to confront him directly. I knew how he would react. "It's not what you think," or "You're being dramatic." So I decided to find out for myself. After all, I'm good at finding things out. I'm a problem solver. I'm resourceful. The next day, I started my investigation. I checked our shared computer. He'd cleared his browser history, but I knew he was sloppy. I found an old email draft he'd forgotten to delete. It was a joke he was going to send to Chloe about a project. It wasn't a big deal, but it confirmed they were talking. Then I checked his location history on our family account. He had a work trip last month to Boston. He told me he was staying in a hotel, but the GPS on our account showed he was at an apartment complex about 20 minutes outside of the city. Not at the hotel he told me he was at. The timestamp matched his work schedule perfectly. He was supposed to be working late, but he was at some random apartment. I wasn't 100% sure, but the evidence was piling up. I felt a cold kind of fury that was almost exhilarating. I wasn't a damsel in distress. I was a strategist. I started taking screenshots and saving everything. I needed to be sure. I needed to see if he cared about me at all. I decided to test him. I created a fake email account and texted him from a number I got from a burner phone. I pretended to be someone from his company named Jessica. I made the messages flirty and a little suggestive. I even found a picture of a random girl online and used it as the profile picture. I left the phone in a drawer he never opened and waited. It didn't take long. He found the phone and read the messages. He didn't say anything to me. He just started acting weird. He was quiet, and he kept looking at me like he was trying to figure something out. I could tell he was trying to figure out what I was doing, but he didn't confront me. He was so predictable. I even changed my cologne, and he didn't notice. I came home late. and he just went to bed without saying a word. The next morning, I woke up, and he was gone. I looked at my phone, and there was a text from his number. I know everything. It said, my heart dropped. What did he know? I didn't know if he was talking about the burner phone or something else. I felt a pang of fear and a surge of excitement. This was it. The confrontation was happening. I got to work, and I couldn't focus. I kept looking at my phone, waiting for another text or a call. I didn't get one. I went home that night, and the house was quiet. Too quiet. I found a note on the kitchen counter. It wasn't a long note, and it wasn't a sappy one. It was just a short, matter-of-fact note from his lawyer. It said he was moving out and had filed for divorce. It listed the name of his lawyer and a number to call. I was furious. He didn't even have the guts to tell me to my face. He just left. He just gave up. I called his lawyer and told them that I was going to fight this. I told them that I was going to take him for everything he had. I was going to make him pay for this. I called my friends, and they were all on my side. They told me he was a coward and that I deserved better. They told me that he was a piece of garbage for what he did. I felt validated. I felt like I was the hero in this story. A few days later, I was on my lunch break, and I saw his car in a parking lot. It was outside a fancy restaurant downtown. I knew he was having lunch with Chloe. I was so angry. I almost ran my car into theirs. I just sat in my car, watching them from a distance. They were laughing and smiling. They looked so happy. I felt a surge of jealousy and rage. I took a picture of them and sent it to my friends. They all told me to go in there and make a scene. I thought about it, but I didn't. I didn't want to give them the satisfaction of seeing me lose it. I just drove away, tears streaming down my face. A few months passed, and I heard from a friend that Daniel was dating Chloe. They were serious. They were going on trips, meeting each other's families. They looked so happy. I was so angry. I couldn't believe he could just move on so fast. I was still so hurt, and he was out there living his best life. I tried to move on. I went on dates, but it wasn't the same. I didn't feel anything for these guys. They were all so boring. They weren't Daniel. I missed our old life. The one where he would leave me notes and we would sing the wrong lyrics to songs. I missed the comfort of having him there, even if he was just a piece of the furniture. Then the divorce hearing happened. I was so confident. I had all my screenshots, all my evidence. I was ready to tear him apart. I walked into the courtroom, and he was there with his lawyer. He looked different. He was wearing a suit, and he looked clean. He looked good. Chloe was sitting in the back, and she looked at me with this sort of smug pity. I hated her so much. My lawyer started the hearing by presenting our evidence. We had the screenshots of the burner phone messages. We had the GPS logs. We had all the stuff I had found. I was so sure we were going to win. But then his lawyer stood up and said, "We have some evidence of our own, Your Honor." I was so confident. I had all my screenshots, all my evidence. I was ready to tear him apart. I walked into the courtroom, and he was there with his lawyer. He looked different. He was wearing a suit, and he looked clean. He looked good. Chloe was sitting in the back, and she looked at me with this sort of smug pity. I hated her so much. My lawyer started the hearing by presenting our evidence. We had the screenshots of the burner phone messages. We had the GPS logs. We had all the stuff I had found. I was so sure we were going to win. But then his lawyer stood up and said, "We have some evidence of our own, Your Honor." He presented a folder full of pictures and documents. They were pictures of me with some guy at a bar. They were from a few months ago, before the divorce. The guy was just a friend, but the pictures made it look like we were a lot more. Then there were emails and texts between me and a few other guys. Again, just friends, but the way he had them arranged made it look like I was a serial cheater. He had even found some of my burner phone messages that I had forgotten to delete, where I was texting my friends about how I was going to take him for everything he's worth. He had a whole slideshow of my social media posts, where I was complaining about him and our marriage. He even had some old texts from my dad, where I was complaining about how boring Daniel was and how he was a piece of furniture. I felt a cold dread wash over me. I couldn't believe he had found all of that. He had been planning this for a while. His lawyer showed the judge all of it. And then he said, "Your Honor, my client was not cheating. He was just trying to escape a marriage that was toxic and manipulative. He was trying to find a way out. And he was trying to protect himself." I was speechless. I couldn't believe this was happening. He was turning this whole thing around on me. He was painting me as the bad guy. I couldn't believe he was doing this. I was so angry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell the judge that he was the one who was cheating, that he was the one who was with Chloe, but I couldn't. I had no real evidence, just a feeling. And that's not enough for a judge. The judge looked at me, then at Daniel, and then at the evidence. He said he was going to rule in his favor. He said that my actions were manipulative and that my evidence was circumstantial. He said that my husband had a right to move on from a marriage that was clearly toxic. He ruled that the house, the money, everything would be split evenly. I would not be getting what I thought I deserved. I was devastated. I was so angry. I wanted to burn down the courthouse. I wanted to go up to him and Chloe and scream at them. I wanted to tell them how much I hated them. But I didn't. I just stood there, stunned. I looked at Daniel, and he looked at me with a cold, blank stare. He didn't say a word. He just turned and walked out of the courtroom with Chloe, a ghost of a smile on his face. I walked out of the courthouse feeling like a complete failure. My friends tried to comfort me, but I didn't want to hear it. I was so angry at them, too. They were the ones who told me to fight him. They were the ones who told me to go for it. And now I was left with nothing. I spent the next few months living in a small apartment, trying to make ends meet. I lost my job because I was so distracted during the whole process. I had to sell my car to pay for my lawyer. I was alone. I was broke. And I was so angry. I tried to reach out to Daniel. I wanted to tell him that I was sorry, that I had made a mistake. I wanted to tell him that I missed him. I wanted to tell him that I still loved him. But he never responded. He never even looked at my messages. I saw a picture of him and Chloe on social media. They were on a boat, in some beautiful place. They were smiling and laughing. They looked so happy. I felt a pang of jealousy and regret. I had lost everything, and he had won. He had everything I wanted. A new life, a new love, a new beginning. I had nothing. I couldn't believe this was my life now. I couldn't believe that I had lost everything. I couldn't believe that I had lost him. I should have just left well enough alone. I should have just let him go. I should have just taken the money and run. But I didn't. I fought, and I lost. I'm sitting here now, in my tiny apartment, looking at the same old walls every day. I'm still so angry. I'm angry at him. I'm angry at Chloe. I'm angry at my friends. And I'm angry at myself. I hate the way things turned out. I wish I could go back and change everything. But I can't. My life is ruined. And it's all his fault. I hate him so much. I hate him. And I hate myself for letting him win. I just don't know what I should have done. I should have just left well enough alone. I should have just let him go. But I didn't. I fought. And I lost. Now I'm here, all alone. And I have nothing. I hate him. I hate him. And I hate myself for letting him win.